Good day, everyone. I hope life is treating you well. Right, I'm taking a look now at the Steading of the Hill Giant Chief by Gary Gygax and published in 1978. This is one of the very earlier of the TSR models for Dungeons and Dragons, or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, I should say. Now, before I go on with the look, I will tell you about this particular model. And back in the day, I was in Virgin Superstore, which was in Cardiff, and they were replacing a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons line with the second edition, and they still have quite a few of the first edition models floating about on the shelves. So they put them on sale, and I just happened to be there on the day they did that. So I not only got this particular model, but several others as well for prices ranging from 50p to £1. This one was £1 in the day, and I kept this for a long time. But unfortunately, um, circumstances beyond my control meant that I was out of work, looking for another job, and as a result of that, I ran into some financial difficulties. And as a result of that, I decided that the only way to sort of uh, get the wolf from the door was to sell the models, and so I put them on eBay. Now, bearing in mind I bought this for £1, the bids went in, and two people started getting into a bidding war, and it went up to £51 in the end, which was not bad really for a model of this type. And I found out afterwards that the mono models generally go for higher prices than the coloured models do. So if you do have a mono model and you need to sell it, then eBay is the place to go, and you will probably get good money for it. Nowadays, you can't get these kind of models for a reasonable price, because a lot of sellers are trying to get as much as they possibly can out of the models when they sell them on either eBay or Amazon, particularly Amazon. It's like the prices they're asking there is in no way or shape worth the model in and of itself. I mean, I've seen prices going for £200, which is quite frankly ridiculous. Anyhow, onto the model itself. Now, the giants are, particularly the hill giants, are messing about up and around the mountain areas, attacking places, raiding them, taking their goods and their money and value, and having loss of life as well. So the powers that be are not happy about this, and decide to get a bunch of fools, sorry, playing character heroes, and send them over to investigate. They give them equipment to help themselves in the adventure, plus a couple of horses. So off they go. Now Gygax says that at the beginning of the model itself that there's a place or a cave which they can actually retreat to, provided nobody knows or follows them to find the cave, and it's a safe spot for them. And rather than going in for training, as what has been said before, and when you level up, you can actually level up here, and so therefore you go to the cave, and you've gone up another level, then you adjust your character accordingly and go back out. But there's no training, or you have to find an expert or anybody else to help you go up to the next level. Um, so that's that. So we go from one sally port then to the actual place where the hell giants are living, and it's a sort of stockade made of wood. Now, it has been known in the past that playing characters say wood, fireball, and blast the place with fireballs in and set it to fire. Now, some dungeon masters who don't read the model properly will probably allow that, and therefore the place is burned to the ground, and yep, end of model, end of adventure, playing characters can shift for the rebel, and off they go. But Gygax has covered this in one of two ways. Firstly, he says that the environment is damp, so therefore it's not so easy to set fire to the stockade itself, and if it does catch fire, there's going to be a feeble flames. Secondly, there's a dungeon below the stockade to which the giants can actually vacate to until the place is safe enough to come out of. But in my own way of doing this, I covered the fact that you can't set fire to the stockade by saying it is fireproof due to a limited wish spell, and this then prevents any would-be player with a pyromaniac bend to start blasting away with the place with fireballs or whatever pyro spell you can come up with. So that's that. Now Gygax has actually put this model, written it in very, very densely, and he put a lot of detail in there, even including to the contents of a giant bag. You roll the dice 100, or sorry, dice 10, the galleries are between 0 to 100, and it shows what kind of stuff you can find in there, like a skinning knife, meat, money, rope, and so on, all in the Hill Giant bag. So you can look at these bags and randomly determine what's in there. So he even covers even that. As for the rooms themselves, again, he's filled it with detail. There's so much going on in this particular room, but very careful reading from behind. The dungeon master is required, otherwise you're going to lose what's going on there. And again, this model is very densely typed and written, so careful reading. Even though it's only 12 pages of actual text that the dungeon master needs to go through, there's a lot in here. And again, with Gygax, and as always has been with Gygax, he writes 8 words when only 2 will do, 10 sentences when only 3 will do, 5 paragraphs when only 1 will do. He's a very verbose writer, and this is a very typical example of the way he actually wrote. So again, with the dictionary to one side, a magnifying glass, and very careful reading, the dungeon master should be able to get the hang of this model. It's full of giants, and unless the player characters are very careful of going around the actual dungeon, they ensure getting killed. There's one particular room which has 22 hill giants, 3 stone giants, a cloud giant, and the 2 boss giants, plus ogres and a cave bear. Cave bear happens to be the pet of one of the giants, which is rather nice. So if any playing character bursts in, loaded for bear, ready to kill anything, they're going to find themselves having a total grief when they come across 22 hill giants. So yeah, sneaking about is probably the best way to go and tackle this module. So that's the top part of the dungeon, and the dungeon level below the stockade, which are cabins and filled with detail again. It has to be noted that every single room in this module is filled with detail. There's a lot of models out there which just have simply empty room or nothing in this room, which is a sort of lazy get-up by some of the writers of these models. Here, Gygax gives you everything, and that's fair play to him. You're not lost or to try and fill in a room yourself because somebody just got too lazy about giving any detail to it. Here, Gygax gives the details to every single room, so like I said, you're not lost. Again, if you play a character, it's worthwhile examining the room thoroughly. Sometimes you come with nothing, but other times then you come with treasure that's been hidden away by Gygax. Like typically there's a skull, which if you examine, you will find a gem inside the skull of one of the naughty little giant kids are hidden in there. As for the dungeon itself, yes, there's a typical dungeon level, cavern filled with various monsters and so on and so forth. Again, I will complain, as I have done before, about the ecology of a dungeon. I always believe if you fill the dungeon up, it has to be logical with the monsters are able to live with each other and work, in some cases, with each other. But sometimes you get monsters that are being thrown into a dungeon by the dungeon master, and Gygax is no innocence there either, and they don't make any sense, and there's no reason why some of the monsters don't start falling upon the other monsters in the dungeon itself and start eating each other or fighting with each other. For example, there's troglodytes, which are next door to lizards, and then next door to carrion crawlers. And the carrion crawlers, if with any judge, I know they say that they only come a few times to breed or whatever. There's no reason why they wouldn't go around killing everything that moves in the dungeon itself. And then that includes attacking the giants and so on and so forth. Or no reason why the giants themselves don't attack the carrion crawlers. Anyhow, that's my bugbear, such as it is. And the clues then to the following dungeons in the last place the playing characters go into in the dungeon, which then gives us sort of a reason to get to the next dungeon, next model in the series. But typical of Gygax, he makes it a little bit complicated in that you have to have instructions to do the chain, turn it into a figure 8, and then it transports up to 6 people to the next model, which is a glacial rift with a frost giant jar. Bit of a tongue twister, especially when you're drunk and trying to say that. And also typical of him that is covered by illusions, so you have to break through those illusions to get the device that takes you to the next model. Why don't you sometimes make things easier? But I decided that having a map that leads to the next place, so rather than being transported and all that, they travel up into the mountains in the highest spot where the next model takes place. It kind of works that way. Anyhow, the final bit of criticism with this model is the fact that they left with a roster of characters which you can use if you can't have time to roll up a character or prepare one. You can use the ones on the roster here. Fine in so much as they give them a lot of stuff to actually work with, like stats, magical items and so on. But the biggest problem is the names. For example, you've got Gleep Warp, Cloyer Buzz, Rokish Workhead, Fresh or Suggle, Funkin' Hoddy Peak, Blade Chandle, Redmond Dumple, Faffle to Weircraft, Beak Gwenders or Crudel. I mean, I think Gary Gygax must have been having a laugh when he came up with these names. There's probably a story to them, but I couldn't possibly think of what they are at the moment. But having said that, I don't think I'll ever want to go through my dungeon career playing Funkin' Hoddy Peak. You have to be Elvish, I think. But anyhow, it's not the kind of name which people who want to sort of associate themselves with the Dungeons and Dragons player character. I mean, I call my character Ivor Forkbeard after the Viking or Norse king of way back when. It's kind of a nice, sensible name in it, so much that it's an actual real life name. Funkin' Hoddy Peak or Fresh or Suggle really doesn't cut it for me. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed this little small review. And to cap off, I've enjoyed this model and I've enjoyed playing it. And I certainly enjoyed the players' kind of reaction to the certain situation they found in each room. And there's always a slightly different reaction to the room that they're in compared to the next one. So there's a lot of play out of this, even though it's only a few pages long, some 12 pages of text, I think. No, 9 pages, and the rest of it is the maps. So yes, you get a lot out of this, given the fact that Gygax put a huge amount of information in each room, so you can spend, well, in terms of gameplay, actual real-life gameplay, they probably spend about 3 hours simply going through 4 rooms. So there's about 4 or 5 sessions worth of play out of this one. And this actual model is republished by in TSR in the future, called Against the Giants, where they combine this with the other 2 models into one sort of big super model. But personally speaking, I like this. I like the dense and condensed version here. It's worthwhile getting if you ever manage to find one in the market or even in a charity shop. If you see it in a charity shop, buy it. Well, thanks very much for listening. Hope you have a nice day and rock on.